Okay, video three. So when it comes to the previous video, we were able to create a class for user and create the constructor as well as the method. The constructor had the actual attributes, whereas the method had the functionalities, at least one of the functions. Okay, and so what we can do now is do some a little more complicated things. So one of the first things, this one's going to be a little bit more straightforward. Let's just go ahead and run the code, the class that we had from yesterday, from the previous video. It shouldn't be at any cost. And then, practice, you're gonna be initiating with constructor, okay, self name, putting the information into name and email for that particular user, as well as we're just printing out that the person logged in. And this is actually done in a different way. Many ways to the top of the mountain, choose one. Many ways to the top of the mountain, no many. K-N-O-W, many. And this does the same exact thing as what we did in the last iteration of the class. So we can go. We already ran that, right? Okay, now it's taking its time. Okay, good. And then when I want to now do this for Bob, see if Bob's logged in. Bob is logged in. So that's good. So that being said, what we can now learn, or something that's a little bit more straightforward, is to discuss a class variable. A class variable is a variable that's stored within the class that is either the same or being used within each instance. Okay, within each instance or within each object. And so you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. And this is a harder example than one could even would potentially use. Maybe all the users are 23 years old. Whatever, that doesn't matter. But what I'm doing in this particular situation is I'm going to count the number of users every single time I create one. Okay, so what I mean by that is I'm going to say within my user class, I'm going to define the total number of users as 0. That's one of the things that's different from the previous declaration of our class. Okay, let's start at 0. Okay, but then when I initiate an individual, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the number of users by 1. I'm going to increase the number of users by 1. That's the only thing that's different right now. That's the only thing that's different. And so every single time I initiate a user, or instantiate, pretty sure I'm saying it wrong. I'll create a user, or an object. I'm legitimately counting or adding someone to that class, okay, of users. So let's go ahead and do that. And so nothing's changed. Okay, so here let's test out this class variable. So when I run this here, this should say 0, indicating that I legitimately have no one in my users. When I run this here, it's going to increase by 1. When I run this here, this is going to tell me that I now have 1 user. Okay. This is going to increase it by 2. Increase it by another 1, which makes it 2. Okay. And then when I print this here, this should say, now I have 2 people. When I run this, this is going to give me an error. Do you know why? Dr. Williams, it's because you didn't run the previous chunk. You're correct. Let's do that. Now, actually see what the error says so we can learn from mistakes. So it says track back. What does it say? Most recent error. User has no attribute total users. Okay, this is good for us to see some errors. Oh, it's so good for us to see some errors. All right, so here we go. Let's run this now. So it should say 0, 1, 2. The total number of users 0. Total number of users 1. Okay. We got what we expected. Okay. So that's cool. Another thing that we can do is view all the information within the actual user, within the actual object. And so when I first learned this, I was like, oh, it's not that important. Oh, yes, it is. It's very important to view all the attributes within an actual instance, okay, or an object, okay? So how we go about doing that is just saying print user dot underscore dictionary. All right. Yeah, dict. So let's go ahead and do that. So it gives me the Alice email. Okay, because I'm gonna eventually use this today. So now, in terms of when I think of when I'm learning this idea of classes and teaching it to you all, it's one of the most exciting elements to me is inheritance. And it's the ability for us to create those subclasses. Because right now, all we've been doing is working with the superclasses, and one particular, we're working with user. But now, let's actually get into making a subclass from the user. The syntax, very straightforward. Very straightforward. But then making more details can get kind of complicated. So let's go about doing that. So inheritance. Okay. So here we have a user. Okay. Oh wow, my mouse is acting strange. Okay. I'm just gonna show it to you. Doesn't matter. Okay. So the user is the same information that we did before. Same information. Same information. All right. Same information. However, now we're going to create a new class called customer. But this is a syntax for me to create a subclass of customer from user. So it's customer, user, and then pass. Okay. And we're doing the pass because we don't know what to do yet. And so it's at no issue for us to do this. So let's go ahead and run this. And it shouldn't say user. I'm actually going to make this customer. Okay. It should be capitalized. And I low-key think this should give me an error. I really do. Customer. Let's see. Customer. Customer. I ran it earlier using the other code. That's fine. Let's run it again. Let's run this. Because that will, of course, give me an error, but I want it to give me another type of error. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. So what I'm assuming that it does, it automatically knew that the first input and the second input of the email and name accordingly. Because it's assuming that based off of the previous declaration. That's fine. Okay, it's cool. That's cool. However, again, we wouldn't want to. And so that is fine. That is fine because it has the same characteristics as a user. Okay. Well, let's actually add some more attributes to customer. Okay. Oh. Okay. I got ahead of myself. I really did. Because the point I was trying to use with regards to using user is that it gives you the same information regardless of how you're using it, as long as you're using it in the same functionality. That's fine. I got ahead of myself. My apologies. I'll take an L on that one. All right. So this next element, finished subclass, it's not finished. It's semi-finished, but it has more information within the actual subclass customer in that it has a particular method. Okay, as well as it's instantiating, initiating the actual class. So we have this subclass customer user. Okay, fine, like we saw before. And here, what we're doing is telling it to use the same information, at least the attributes self, which we've seen in the past, name, email, and also shopping cart. Okay, shopping cart. And if we were to go back up here in terms of these classes, shopping cart is the only additional attribute. If we're dealing with the cashier, it'll be the till ID, but the customer is just the shopping cart. Okay, so ideally there should be two methods for customer: order and complain, but I only provided code for order. For complain. All right, so going back down. Where am I? Right about here. All right, no, here. And so here, this is taking the information from user, okay? From user and storing it as name, okay? Name and email. Okay, so if the shopping cart is none, because the attribute that's for the customer, what we're going to do is just define it as empty list. If it's not empty, we're just going to define it as what it was before. But you can imagine we can actually add attributes to or items to the actual shopping cart. All right, and so here this is kind of similar to what you would want to do with regards to complaint issue, but ideally you probably would want to store this issue into to a list and then save it to to a into a database. It's fine. But this is legitimately checking the issue. If it's an issue, just saying that this person self, which is the self up here, um, the name, and subscribe, state what the issue is, what they actually said, and if you don't have an issue, you just say it's empty. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. So here we're defining Bob as customer one. Okay, let's create another name. Let's say Jimmy. Yeah. All right, and so let's say customer three. Okay, customer three. And so when I run this now, it's going to now say Jimmy complained about slow service. Okay, indicating that we now have a method within our subclass that was made from our superclass user. Probably gonna run this today. Let's run this and let me check what the error says. It says customer object has no complaint. Okay, good, because we didn't create it yet. Now that we ran it, it should be created. Jimmy complained about slow service. So doing a recap, what we're able to do is actually talk about the class variables to be able to count the number of instances, like a number of objects that were created. We also talked about the ability to print out the actual dictionary from a particular object, and then we were able to then create the subclass customer, and talk about the methods and also initiate the attributes for that particular subclass. Thank you very much and have a great day.